Hello, it's Philippa Bullet from Chris and Philly Functional Medicine here to end your body burnout for good. One of the common signs or symptoms that we see when someone's body is falling apart are energy issues. So, if you're struggling with low energy, you will want to listen to this video. Um, Energy or fatigue has become a really common state of being for many working mums because it's so common. Many people will tell you it's normal to feel tired after having kids. But what about those parents who you see jumping out of bed with energy in the morning? What about the mums who have balanced energy throughout the day without stimulants like caffeine and sugar? I believe if it's possible for them, then it's possible for you too. The question, I guess, you're probably having is, why am I so tired? So, I wanted to talk about adrenal fatigue in this video today. What is it? Adrenal fatigue is a common underlying physical imbalance of fatigue that links back to your stress hormones, cortisol and DHEA. So when you're under stress, the brain tells your adrenal glands, they sit on top of your kidneys, to secrete cortisol, which causes your body to respond to stress. And when there is enough cortisol flooded in the blood, DHEA, so when cortisol is high, DHEA then jumps in and it switches the brain from stressing, which then brings cortisol levels and you back down to a relaxed state. Now, let's imagine your stress load is like a bucket that you can fill up and empty. There are many types of stresses that can fill up your bucket. Most people only think about emotional stresses, but other things that will put stress on your adrenal glands, like things like pathogens in the gut, environmental toxins, temperature discomfort, being too hot or too cold, exercise, multitasking, overdoing, lack of sleep, sugar, processed foods, EMFs, and even exciting things like planning for a wedding or a holiday can start filling up your stress bucket. Now, to empty the bucket, you need to reduce stresses. So get lots of sleep, eat nutritious foods, spend time in nature, yoga, meditate, laugh, play, stop and just lie in the sun. Or you might have to detox and reduce inflammation in the gut. If the stresses are filling up the bucket too fast in comparison to emptying your bucket, you will start producing an overload of cortisol. So over time, when there is too much cortisol being secreted, DHEA, that's balancing stress hormone, the DHEA levels will start to deplete because it can no longer keep up with its crazy hyperactive counterpart, which is cortisol. Cortisol is the most dominant hormone in this relationship. So what happens when DHEA is no longer being secreted efficiently? Basically, when there is no hormone to switch your brain off from stressing, then cortisol is left to go crazy. It is absolutely crazy how common this hormonal dysfunction is happening. I'd say at least 80 to 90% of our clients that we test for adrenal fatigue come back as positive. Not always, so it's awesome to test, but it's very, very common. So the adrenal glands are responsible for not just dealing with stress, however, but they're also really important for having resilience and energy and endurance. And when your adrenal stress hormones burn out, your entire body feels it, and most people suffer from some extent of exhaustion. Now, there are 3 stages. It's actually more, but I'm just going to talk about 3 stages of adrenal fatigue. So, stage 1, and it's important to identify this, which is again why we use lab testing, because we want to treat you in regards to what stage of adrenal fatigue you are in. So stage 1 adrenal fatigue is when cortisol is running really high, but DHEA has depleted. In this stage, you might not necessarily feel exhausted, but rather wired as your neuroendocrine system is struggling to keep up with the excessive secretion of cortisol. Some people in stage 1 adrenal fatigue actually feel okay, but they're having signs of some sort of health issue. Stage 2 adrenal fatigue is when DHEA is depleted and cortisol has started to deplete. So on a test result, cortisol is usually within range, but you've got this really low DHEA levels happening. So if the DHEA levels have or depleted cortisol is coming down, then we know you're in stage 2 adrenal fatigue. And in this stage, fatigue often starts to kick in and you struggle to make it through work without a nap or multiple cups of coffee or Coke or energy drinks. In this stage, you're likely waking up unrefreshed even after a full night's sleep. And this is a big warning signal. If you're sleeping 8 hours a day and you're still tired, there's something wrong. Stage 3 adrenal fatigue, so the last stage, is when both DHEA and cortisol have depleted. This often shows up as extreme fatigue, where you struggle to get out of bed and you feel utterly exhausted all day. You might even not be able to work anymore, or parenting might feel like a really heavy chore and a burden. In the most serious of cases, you might not even be able to get out of bed for more than a few hours a day. In these cases, the extreme cases, there are often other serious body system imbalances going on too. It's often not just adrenal fatigue. So there's 7 steps to reverse adrenal fatigue. In order to treat adrenal fatigue and get you up and running with lots of energy again, we generally follow these steps. So first step is diagnose if you have adrenal fatigue with functional lab testing. This is so important and it can save so much time and money. Prior to specializing in functional medicine, when I was just practicing nutritional medicine, I would place clients on, adrenal type protocols based on their symptoms and case history and my own guesswork. It was educated guesswork, but guesswork nonetheless. And for some clients, this wasted quite a lot of time and money because the underlying cause of the fatigue actually wasn't due to adrenal fatigue at all. And the treatment I had created was just completely wrong. So test, not guess, is number 1. Number 2 is diagnose what stage of adrenal fatigue you're in. So lab testing will show this, and it's super important to understand what stage of adrenal fatigue you are in, as it will direct the type of treatment plan you need, and it will give more clues as to the root causes, which also need to be addressed to fully resolve adrenal fatigue. Step 3 would be to power up with nutraceutical supplements targeted to the stage of adrenal fatigue you're in. So some nutrients that are super important for the adrenals are things like vitamin Bs, vitamin C, bioflavonoids, phosphorin is a great one, magnesium. There's quite a few more, and it really depends on what your labs are showing and what else is happening with your body. The duration and therapeutic dosage are important based on lab testing. And the quality of the supplements are also really important. I don't know how many clients I've had who had been on some of these nutrients, usually purchased from iHerb or the supermarket or maybe even the health food store, only to go on the good therapeutic stuff, and it made all the difference. So next step is to focus on reducing inflammation and blood sugar control with diet. So you want to ditch the sugar, the caffeine, the alcohol, the processed foods. And for some people, gluten, soy, and dairy are triggers. And you need to replace these foods with lots of healthy whole foods. Balancing your macronutrients in every meal can also help stabilize blood sugar levels and thus reduce stress. I think we're up to number 5.5, maybe. Lifestyle and environmental modifications is the next step. So change up anything in your life that is causing you stress that you have the ability to change. So again, think about your bucket of stress. Is there anything you can take out of that bucket? You might need to change your exercise regime, or create more work-life balance, or get more sleep, or ditch the chemicals from the home. Step 6, inner work, really important. Working on your thoughts, your feelings and emotions is an absolute must when it comes to reducing stress and overcoming adrenal fatigue. Identify, and also the last step, this is number 7. Identify if there is anything going on inside your body adding to your stress bucket. So have you got leaky gut, parasites, heavy metal toxicity, neurotransmitter depletion? All of these things can be identified with further lab testing. So James Wilson, he was actually the author of the book Adrenal Fatigue, said, the particular kind of rest you need when you have adrenal fatigue comes not so much from lying down, but from standing up for yourself and from removing or minimizing the harmful stresses in your life. And I just want to end by saying I love that. Now, if you're struggling with issues with energy, if you suspect that you may have adrenal fatigue, please reach out. We have different resources that can help you. We have hormonal mini courses, we have free assessment scorecards, and if you're ready to or need to get actual help from an expert, the next step would be to book in for a Connect the Dots initial consult with myself, which you can find the link for on our website. Anyway, chat soon, and hope you have good balanced energy today.